This LOS is Describe Theories of the Business Cycle. Theories of the business cycle. Different schools of economic thought are used to explain the causes of business cycles. These schools of thought offer different prescriptions with regard to government actions that may affect the economy. Some schools of thought are Neoclassical, Austrian, Keynesian, monetarist, and Neoclassical, which include real business cycle theory and Neo-Keynesian. Theories of the business cycle. So we'll start by looking at the Neoclassical and Austrian schools. So the Neoclassical school of economic thought, that's the invisible hand. Put that in bold. That is, the free market will result in a price for every good for which there is supply and demand. Then there's something called Say's law, which is all that is produced will sell because supply creates its own demand. This school cannot explain a prolonged depression. Any declines in aggregate demand would be temporary. When we look at the Austrian school of economic thought, this school is similar to Neoclassical, but considers the role of the money supply and government actions. Government intervention may cause a boom and bust cycle. So we'll just do a quick practice question to check our understanding. The Austrian economic school attributes the primary cause of the business cycle to A, misguided government intervention, B, the creative destruction of technological progress, or C, sticky price and wage expectations that exaggerate trends. Again, English language test subject economics. So A is correct. Austrian economists see monetary policy mistakes as leading to booms and busts. So I copied from the previous slide, the Austrian school of economic thought. This school is similar to Neoclassical, but considers the role of the money supply in government actions. And I put in green there, government intervention may cause a boom and bust cycle. So if we go back and look at our choices, it's, the wording is not exactly the right, but the interpretation misguided, the primary cause of the business cycle, misguided government intervention. So a little bit tricky. We didn't see anything about creative destruction or sticky prices, but we did talk about government intervention. You can see the two words government intervention. So in that case, A is correct. So again, attention to detail with regards to the language. So continuing with the theories of the business cycle, now we're going to look at Keynesian and monetarist schools. So the Keynesian school, in the event of lower aggregate demand, lower wages will result in lower spending, hence affecting demand further. Very low interest rates would not stimulate the economy because confidence would be too low. The government should intervene in a crisis, turning a deficit. Criticisms of this theory: government debt could get out of control. Expansionary policy may cause the economy to grow too fast, resulting in inflation and other ills. And finally, it takes time for fiscal policies to work so that they may be ill-timed for a short-term crisis. So again, the Keynesian school, the important thing to look at that is that the government is intervening. Now we're going to continue with the monetarist school. Those following the monetarist school of thought object to the Keynesian approach because Keynesian theory, 1, does not consider the role of the money supply, 2, is not logical in light of utility maximizing market participants, 3, it ignores the long-term cost of government intervention, and finally 4, does not consider the unpredictability of the timing of fiscal policy changes on the economy. So monetarists advocate for a steady increase in the money supply and a limited role of government. So continuing with the theories of the business cycle, this slide is going to look at the Neoclassical School and finally the Neo-Keynesians, the New Keynesians. So starting with the Neoclassical School, the Neoclassical School uses the idea that utility maximizing agents will seek to maximize profits. So there's the real business cycle, Rbc Theory. Business cycles are the result of the efficient operation of the economy in response to real shocks. The Rbc Theory considers unemployment the result of persons wanting wages that are too high. It is criticized as being an unrealistic assumption. And finally, looking at the Neo-Keynesians or the New Keynesians, Neo-Keynesians assume slow to adjust wages and prices. So that's the sticky wages and prices. Slow to adjust, sticky, English language lesson there. And finally, government intervention is needed in the event of disequilibrium. So they still believe, New Keynesians, in government intervention. And one last practice question to finish this LOS. Monetarists favor a limited role for the government because they argue A, government policies operate with a lag, B, firms take time to adjust to systemic shocks to the economy, or C, resource use is efficient with marginal revenue and cost equal. Okay, the correct answer is A. Monetarists favor a limited role for the government because they argue that government policies operate with a lag. So A is correct. Monetarists caution policy effects can occur long after the need for which they are implemented is no longer an issue. So you can see I copied again from the previous slide the bullet points. Those following the monetarist school of thought object to Keynesian approach because Keynesian theory, you could see the last bullet point I put in green, does not consider the unpredictability of the timing of fiscal policy changes on the economy. That means government policies operate with a lag. And that's the last slide for this LOS. Thank you.